in town in the Lemert Park area, which, as an aside, is, I guess, pretty much all black now. Anyhow, I was sharing an office with Bill Finkel, one of our founders. And Bill came in one day and he said, some people are getting together to form a conservative temple. Would you be interested? And using today's jargon, is the Pope Catholic? Of course. So we met in the Gold's house on a Friday night. Richie, if I remember correctly, ran the services facing east. I don't remember how many there were at that time, but just a handful. Anyhow, probably about a month later, Norm Rosen, who was one of the founders, and I think it was Richie as well, came to our house. We were sitting in our kitchen, and Norm asked me if I would form the Articles of Incorporation, which I did as fast as I could. And my big regret, and I've said this before, I couldn't get, and I think there were 13 of us altogether, I couldn't get all the men to sign because the articles had to be notarized, and I was not a notary, and then try to get everybody together in front of a notary. Luckily, I was sharing an office with an attorney who was a notary, and he understandably, very reluctantly agreed to notarize the articles, and he gave me the book for people to sign. And very reluctant. I didn't want to take advantage, so I think there were 7 of us that are listed on the articles, and the temple should have a certified copy, which I got for it. And that's how we came into existence. They signed it. His name was Bill. He notarized it, and I sent it up to Sacramento. And after I got the articles back, I filed with the Internal Revenue to get us our tax exemption. And that's how it happened. And then in those days, the developer of what we call Mesa Palos Verdes, which is further down along Hawthorne, they had a building that they opened for open houses, parties, or whatever. And we took advantage of it, and a lot of people showed up, and we kind of conned them into joining our fledgling temple. And it was funny, the Colons lived across Crenshaw, and in those days, Silver Spur Road did not go to Crenshaw. If you wanted to get over to Crenshaw, you had to go all the way down Silver Spur, across PB Drive North to Crenshaw, and then up, which is where they lived. And I think it was about a year, maybe a little less. Eventually, they ran Silver Spur from where it is in the Peninsula Center all the way to Crenshaw. And Louise was ecstatic because she could come across instead of going all the way down. But anyhow, we tried to get the Colons to join. And Sid, God rest his soul, said, no, he says, you've just been organized. I'm going to wait until you've been around for a year, and then we'll decide to join, which is what they did. And we had open houses and whatever we could do to look for Jews in the area to join. And I remember Inga and Harlan, God rest his soul, were living in Torrance, and a couple of us went down there, and lo and behold, it turned out that Harlan and I knew each other because our families had belonged to the same temple in town, and they joined. I can't tell you how long we've been organized till they joined. But anyhow, we did everything possible to try to get members. And I remember on one occasion, Richie Gold said, I think it was Norm Dale, what was the last name? He was a doctor. Nora, they had, what, 5 kids?
Oh, Diamond.
Yeah, the Diamond. We got them to join, and I remember Richie saying, "Oh, they've got money. We'll be able to get some support." And the women did an unbelievably great job of putting on affairs, raising money, and some of you, if you know Monaco, on the right
Restaurant.
High Ridge. Or Crest Ridge.
going down from Crest on
Hawthorne?
Peavy Drive. There's at the end of Monaco. There's a house that looks over everything. That was the Monaco house, and it was open for affairs. And we had a Christmas, New Year's Eve party there. That again, the women did it all. To raise money, and it was funny. We had a couple that had joined us. You know the name. I don't know where my
Give me
memory
something
is.
to go on.
But they had joined. He was an engineer, as were most of the members. She refused to go to the Christmas party. She worked on helping to get it together. She refused to join. She said, pardon me, not Christmas, New Year's. She refused to come because she said New Year's was the date of circumcision of Jesus, and I'll be darned if I'm going to celebrate his circumcision.
That's great.
I haven't thought about that one in years. That's what she said. But that's a very shorthand of how we got started. And like I said, the ladies really worked. When Rabbi Wexberg came I think it was our second year, I later learned from him. Norm Rosen and Richie Gold went to interview him for a rabbi. Well, Bernard eventually told us that they thought they were interviewing him. It was the other way around. He was interviewing them to make sure that they were serious, that we really had a congregation. And so eventually, they were living in the valley at the time. Bernard and Eve moved out here, and as a practical matter, he was really our executive director. He was the glue that kept us together, really worked like hell. And, for a long time, Friday nights services were at the women's, I forget the name of it, in Redondo Beach in the Riviera. And I remember after they joined, the Diamonds came every Friday night with their kids, a couple of whom lay down on the sofa and went to sleep during services, but they came. And as far as where we met, well, there was Sweet O, where the kids went to Hebrew school. The holidays, oh boy, we were really the wandering Jews. We had high holidays in several of the Mormon stakes. One of the members, early members, Bob Feitbon, I think it was, where he worked, there was one of his workmates was a Mormon, and they were kind to us. We had services at the Mormon stake. At that time, they had one on Artesian Western, where we had a heat wave, and Harlan Sherman passed out. He was in the choir that Wexberg put together, and he passed out from the heat. We met in Lawndale, as a matter of fact, in what was it, the 72 war, the 73 war, we were having services in Lawndale at the time. And like I said, we were really the wandering Jews until, I forget what it's called now, but one of the hotels on Hawthorne, on the west side of the street, just north of the shopping center.
Holiday Inn.
It was the Holiday Inn,
Now it's
which
the
we named the High Holiday Inn. Had services there. Where else do we have? And then we had, like I said, we had services on occasion at the Mormon Stake. And then when they built the one up here, they were kind enough to where we had services until eventually we built our own facility. And well, I think that probably pretty much brings it up to date. But like I said, when we started out with just a few and trying to raise money and everything, and when we sort of got organized, why it was the sisterhood that really were above and beyond and raised a lot of money. Andy is shaking his head, he remembers. But and Toby was in those days
We
really
did that Jewish
well,
home, beautiful.
almost all of the women were involved in the sisterhood, and Tobe was very active. And like I say, they had a lot, in my view, they had a lot to do with us growing. So what can I say?
And Toby was a big part. Toby was a big part of that.
Yeah. But she, that was all of the women in sisterhood had a lot to do with it, and if we had a fundraising, the women were all involved.
I was just
and
saying,
helped.
we did that Jewish home, beautiful. Do you remember the Jewish home, beautiful?
Vaguely.
That we did at the Women's Club, and then we did it